Bushwacker on the podcast. Luke, thank you for blessing us with your presence today.
Whoa, g'day, Danny. It's bloody good to be here, mate. You're looking good, mate, but you smell like sardines. And I've had that for breakfast for many years.
Have you really? I've known you for a long time. You used to run the gym on Clearwater Beach. You had your own gym. We used to always work out together, me, you, and the Hulkster. And those were some good times.
Some good times, mate, but evolution of time, we have to move on.
You got to move on.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you got to just move on and write a new chapter.
Exactly, mate, and I'm moving on. I don't know what the next chapter's going to be, but, well, I've got a few ideas anyhow.
Have you?
Yeah.
So how you been? How are you?
Good, mate, good. I just got back from Quebec, a town. I worked in a town on Sunday afternoon. It's the first time I've been there since 1972. That was the last time I wrestled in that town. And I had a few people there came up to me. They were old. They said, I remember you being here many, many moons ago with Andre the Giant.
That's crazy. So how old are you now?
Hey. Quiet. To all the girls out there, I'm 25, 26.
You don't look a day over 30.
No. And I'm 73 at Christmas, January.
And you're still wrestling?
You're still in the ring, entertaining.
Wow.
Well, you could call it, it's called entertaining.
Why is it called entertaining?
Well, that's what I do. I entertain the people.
Is that what everyone calls it? Is that what all WWE wrestlers call it?
WWE. It's called WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment.
Okay, so it's just you don't call it wrestling. People just call it.
No, you could call it wrestling. It's wrestling and that. But when they look at me and they say, "You still wrestling?" I say, "I'm entertaining."
Right.
Sounds better at my age.
You don't do any kind of like hard jumps or take any big bumps. You kind of just take it easy now.
I give them.
You give them. You give them.
I'm a giver, not a taker. Remember that, folks. And to all you women out there. Whoa.
What? Whoa.
And I'm from down under. You know what I mean? And I'm a bushwhacker.
Where'd you get
I hate being told, though. Most of them tell me today, but I'm shaved. Most of the women, when I say I'm from down under and I'm a bushwhacker, they turn around and say to me, well, I'm shaved.
Oh, the women say that to you.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So where did you come up? I mean, so we've had the pleasure of having many WWE superstars on this show. We've had Jimmy Hart, we've had Lanny Poffo, the brother of Macho Man, and now you're the third WWE superstar. So how did you get into the business? Like, let's talk about like your early days. Where are you from?
Early days.
How did you get started in this crazy, wacky world?
Funny part is the next door neighbour. I was born in a town called Lower Hutt, New Zealand. It's a suburb of the capital, Wellington. It's about 8 miles out from the city of Wellington.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbour was a bodybuilder. And he went into Mr. New Zealand and he got placed. And the judge in Mr. New Zealand was a former Mr. New Zealand, a 1950 Mr. New Zealand. He was a judge. Plus, at this time now, he was the wrestling promoter for the only promotion in New Zealand. And he said to my next door neighbour, my buddy, he said to him, why not make some money with that body? So my neighbour's name was Brian Ashby. Mm-hmm. So he went into the gym. It was in Wellington, 6 or 8 miles away. And it was the gym was like the gym in the first Rocky movie. If you ever remember that, the steam pipes rattling. It had a steam room. The old school gym.
Yeah.
The only two machines it had or racks it had was a bench press and a squat rack. All the rest were kettlebells and free weights laying around the floor. And there was 2 rings there, 20 by 20 rings. The floor of the rings were hard as the floor as this room, or hard as the pavement on the roads around here. And the boxing rings, 4 ropes. And the wrestling rings were 4 ropes too in New Zealand at that time. It was, and they were the wrestling rings. Wrestling shows were governed by the police. and they came and checked the rings before to make sure it was 20 feet by 20 feet in the ropes. Now, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? If it's 18 feet.
Right.
But fucking police came and checked it, measured it, and everybody too had to put the promoter had to put everyone's name in 2 months ahead of the show to see if they had any criminal record. This is how it was.
Wow.
The police sat ringside, and if you did anything illegal, they hopped up in the ring. There was no punch there was no punching and no kicking. So it was either forearms or the British uppercut, and you could do a knee drop. Anyhow.
That's crazy. How old were you when you got into this?
15 or just turning 16. Anyhow, how I got in it, he said to me after he was going for about a month, and he says, why not come in there? I was 175 pound wet at the time. And I started going in there to the gym with him. About 6 months down the line, I went to my first wrestling match, live wrestling match. And one of the opponents didn't arrive in the light, junior heavyweight or light heavyweight. And that next minute, I got a pair of boots thrown at me and a tank top thrown at me. I had jeans on, and that's how I went to the ring. And don't ask me about the match, because it's a blank.
Really?
That was my first match ever. The arena was full. It was, 3,000 people at that time. I'm talking about 1962.
Yeah.
In little old New Zealand, where they roll up the sidewalks at 6 o'clock at night. The bars closed at 6. Everything.
Wow.
Just to go downtown, any little townships, 6:37, you're lucky to find a cafeteria open in any of the smaller cities. In the capital, you'd find them, but in the smaller cities, the sidewalks were rolled up and the lights were out.
Really?
The blinds were down.
That's wild. So
We didn't everyone sat around a radio at home listening to soap operas on radio. We never got television till 67, and it would start at 3 in the afternoon and finish at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. That's how when we first got it. Crazy, huh?
That's some crazy shit.
We were 20 years. We were 20 years behind the States and behind Aussie at the time too.
What were you doing in New Zealand this whole time? So you're
shagging sheep.
You were shagging sheep.
Shagging sheep.
That's all you did was shag sheep?
No. I'm an engineer by trade, or turner or fitter. Lathe work and with turning steel with a lathe and doing welding, arc and arc, arc welding, arc and arc, gas brazing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Dealing with steel, putting stuff together.
Okay, so that's what you did for a living when you first
Yeah,
got into wrestling.
I did an apprenticeship.
Okay, yeah.
I did the 10,000 hours. That's a 5-year. I did a lot of overtime, and I did it in 4 years. But in the meanwhile, I was wrestling too, because I'd finished work at 4, and that in New Zealand, you can hop on a plane from the capital, and you can be at the end of the other island or over in the South Island, anywhere within an hour. Once you're on the plane, everything is close. The islands, New Zealand consists of 2 islands, 600 miles long each, and each about 150 miles wide. So that's it. And we're way down south. For you people out there don't know where we are, we're southeast of Australia, and below us is South Pole. America have got a base in the South Island and the South Island where they go down to the South Pole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. Did you ever go to the South Pole?
No, never.
Never
flown. It's 2 hours from Christchurch.
Really?
And that to 2.5 hours, and you're over. People fly over. Tourists, Americans go down there, and they go on the charters and they fly over the South Pole. But we're a mountainous country. What you call mountains over here, we call hills. Our mountains are from 12,000 feet to 20,000 feet.